Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Creative Soul Online Retreat, How to Use Creativity and the Chakras to Manifest Money, Love, and Happiness. This interview series invites artists, therapists, energy healers, and manifestors to discuss how to raise your vibration in order to manifest your desires. So what we're talking about is how everything that we want on the outside is really an inside job. So we are discussing how we can tune into ourselves in different modalities in order to change that energy on the inside to manifest what we want on the outside. So today I'm going to introduce you to Bodhi Simpson. I'm so excited that she's here. She's an art therapist, just like myself. She has a private practice. It's called Conscious Art Therapy in Waterville, Maine, and is co-founder of the Vast Horizon Center for Personal Growth in Yarmouth, Maine. Bodhi's a co-founder of the Self-Compassion Symposium that is held annually in Southern Maine. She provides workshops for the community and trainings for therapists focused on incorporating creative expression and work with imagination, intuition, and metaphor into their practices. She has given workshops locally, nationally, and internationally. And she also provides online services, which is really exciting. So welcome. I'm so happy that you're here, Bodhi.
Thank you, Leah. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, since you're an art therapist as well, and I have a variety of different therapists on this series, I want you to tell us a little bit about art therapy. Could you describe it to someone who's like, well, what is art therapy? Why would I pick art therapy versus another modality?
Absolutely. So I'm trained in traditional talk therapy, but I also have additional training in helping people express themselves in creative ways. And the reason I love art therapy is because people are able to see the energy creating their lives so that they can start to make shifts, so they can become a witness to their process and take responsibility. Yeah.
So we have like that visual form of seeing what's going on the inside. It's like it's reflected on that outside.
Absolutely.
Love that.
That's the best job ever.
Yes. So what are some people like seeking when they come to see you?
Well, I often have people come because they feel they express themselves creatively the most naturally. But I do have people that come that feel like they have tried traditional talk therapy for years and never really accessed the root of their struggle. So I have a lot of people that are curious and kind of wonder how much it can help them, even though when they come, they identify, they say, I'm not creative, I'm not an artist. So we really work on just helping them to understand that art therapy is more about really just the process of letting whatever needs to emerge. And then we just work on developing a relationship with that part of yourself.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. I know a lot of fear can come up of like just the creating part. So that's good that, you just make it comfortable enough to be where you're at, and you build on those skills as well.
Yes.
I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit about your journey? I know that of becoming an art therapist, because I know that you got your master's in art therapy, but if you want to tell us a little bit of background of like why you decided to become an art therapist and that path that you went on.
Yes, I would love to. So when I was a little girl, life at home was pretty stressful. I didn't know any different at the time, but I know that because of what I was going through at home, I really went into this internal place within me. And so I had a wonderful relationship with art, and I would express what made me happy. I would express my struggles, but I never had anybody to share it with. I never had anybody to really join me in my world and help me learn and grow in that way. So it was just something I did naturally. And when I was getting ready for college, I had no idea what I wanted to do because people were telling me, well, you can't really make money being an artist. So I was like, okay, well, that's the only thing I really like. So I went to University of Maine at Augusta, and I started taking art classes. And at the time, I had a lot of stuff going on at home with mental illness with some family members. And so I started taking some psychology courses, and through the courses, I really developed more understanding and compassion for mental illness. And so I thought that was the answer. So I got my degree in mental health and human services. I worked for a few years as a case manager, but I was missing the art. And so at that time, I wasn't really sure what I was seeking, but it was something more. And so I went back to look for grad programs. And I found Springfield College, and they had a clinical psychology program. And as I was looking at the courses, I saw something called clinical art therapy, and I had never heard of it in my entire life. And as I was reading, it was a combination of art and psychology, which was exactly what I had taken for courses in undergrad. And I realized that it was literally who I was. It was like an epiphany. Oh my gosh, there's a job that is who I am. And at that moment, I was inspired to become exactly what I needed. So I knew that from my own experience up until that point, I still didn't even know what an art therapist really was until I started doing the work. Mm-hmm. But I just knew it was who I was. So it's incredible to have a job that's just who you are, naturally.
So I went to school as an art therapist as well, and I got my master's in that. And my program that I went to was very clinical, so I have like all this like psychology background. And I know that I've been shifting the past few years, especially working with the chakras and energy work and symbolism. And that just feels really intuitive to me. And that's how I work with my clients. So I'm kind of curious about your process in that as well, because I know you do energy healing through art therapy. So can you kind of tell us about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, same thing. I became an art therapist, worked for a few years, and realized that I was becoming depleted and burnt out, and I wanted to understand what was happening. And so I found a program where I trained for a few years to understand about energy and energy systems, and it completely changed my life. And the way that I really worked to integrate and understand what I was learning was by creating art practices intuitively to connect the knowledge for myself. And so after doing that for myself, I realized it was going to be important to incorporate this into my work with clients. And like you said, it's not like we take graduate programs on how to do this. So really I work intuitively as well with clients to help them find the practice that really clicks for them and the symbolism and metaphor that clicks for them.
Awesome. Yeah, for me as well, I have to say that like doing it for myself first and starting to see the shifts. Like for example, like the artwork behind me, I do these chakra sets and I choose symbolism that resonates or relates to my life right now. And that's like my reflection. So I'm kind of curious and by working on certain chakras and being able to adjust that energy, that awareness, that's how I can relate it to my life of where I need to work. Like I always need to work on my roots. So exercise, being in nature, and then I'll create art about it. It's kind of like my reminder. So I'm kind of curious, do you have any like personal stories that you can like share with us to say like how it relates to you and how you were able to see that connection as well?
Absolutely. So for me, honestly, the first thing I learned was grounding and just the awareness. I think being a creative person, I was always up here in my imagination and my mind. And so really working on becoming fully grounded. And I would do a lot of work again with nature, pieces from nature, do a lot of artwork of, trees with roots going deep down into the earth, really anchoring in that learning. But then once I became grounded, I realized, oh, I think I've been checking out because it didn't feel very good to be in my body. And so I did a lot of work, same as you, as really tuning into where in my body I was holding the emotion and really expressing what that looked like. And then once I could really see, and it might have just been colors, it might have been symbolism, I would consciously use my mind's eye to create symbols for myself. And it's funny because I see the symbols for you in your artwork that's similar to some of the things I do as well. Just the symbols that really anchored in the healing and the wisdom for myself. So it really became like a visual, a tangible meditation that I could then use as an anchor to remind me of this felt experience that I had.
So how do you use that with your clients as far as having them, because you're using symbolism, right? Like for certain things. Do you have them, how do you do that? Can you just gonna explain, like, how do you have them choose which ones, or is it related to something?
Yeah, so in the beginning, again, we do our work around specific grounding tools for them. We do body maps just to start to become aware of where the energy, where they're actually holding it.
Yes.
And we just, again, educate on energy systems and chakras, ways that we open and close based on when we're getting triggered. And with the personal symbolism, so once we express what we're holding and become aware of what we're holding, whether it's thought or belief, we also do writing with our art. I teach people how to use their mind's eye to view a symbol. So basically to connect to their internal world, which is always present, but that we're kind of tuned out of. And I teach people that accessing these symbols is different than imagining something. It usually comes within 3 to 5 seconds. So you get the image. So I may have clients that say, I just got a goat. What the heck? And so I say, well, create the goat. And then as they create the goat, then I work with clients again to open up their heart and communicate with their image to get that felt sense of what the metaphor is. What is the wisdom that's coming through the image, through the symbol?
Oh, neat. So are you seeing a similarities with like certain chakras or different parts of the body that might be blocked? Have you been seeing any kind of consistency?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, a lot of the work that I've been doing, I've really been focusing with my clients on the heart chakra, because what I've really found is that many clients, as we're doing our work, they're very good at giving compassion to others. And then when it comes to themselves, they're like, oh, no, not me. You know, they block themselves from receiving love, either from others or from themselves. And so really the foundation of the work that I'm doing with people right now is really opening their heart, having self-compassion, and believing that they're worthy of healing and of loving themselves.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, because that's definitely solar plexus chakra as well, as like being able to have that power within yourself to put boundaries in order to like to have that self-care and know that you're worth it. Because you can only give unless you have it, and you have to have it. You got to fill yourself. If not, you're going to be giving too much and then feeling angry, which actually blocks the solar plexus chakra, right?
Exactly.
And it's going to be like a backlash. So it's like a vicious cycle, especially as like women, and like if you're a mother or, you know, you're always like giving. So you got to give back.
Absolutely. And like you said, it's like we work on one and then something else opens up that needs to be worked on. And it's just like you said, intuitively helping clients to notice and to be able to go there.
Yes, it's all about the awareness. And that's why I wanted to do this series, because I think that, you know, just having these conversations, you start to connect with, oh, well, that is happening with me. And like, what do I need to shift, or what do I need to change? So I'm glad that, you know, you brought that up about, you know, the heart chakra, that's a big one, because we want that love, you know, but it starts with the self.
Exactly.
Awesome.
We have to believe that we're worthy first.
Yes. So can you tell us a little bit of some examples of the work that you do with supporting daily practices of self-care? Because I think with that heart chakra and that solar plexus, of being able to create systems, whether it's rituals or just like daily practices, whatever you want to call it, but as long as we are, establishing that, can you give us some examples of what you do in your practice?
Absolutely. I often have people come in and they say, oh, I was gonna try, but I forgot, so let's practice while we're in here. And of course, I'm never upset with anybody if they haven't practiced, but I really, really work with people to understand that it's not even about how long you're doing it, but it's about taking the time every day to go within, to connect with this internal part. So to get out of our heads, get into our hearts, into our bodies, to connect with how we're feeling. What are we thinking about? What are we believing? How do we want to create the energy in our life that day? And I really, again, I work with people individually to find what that looks like for them. So for me, I enjoy just having art materials around and just maybe pastels, and just kind of taking the time to put on the paper what color I'm feeling, and then taking the time to consciously create what color I would like to be feeling. And I work a lot with people just simply by tuning into the color vibrations of what so it can just be so simple. It doesn't have to be half an hour sitting in the lotus position, with no kids running around. But again, just taking the time to connect. And again, so you have these images behind you. So I do the same thing. I have people, you may also go into a visualization and create that and hang it somewhere in your home. And maybe your daily practice is sitting with your image, with your heart open, and really receiving the healing symbol for yourself. And that's what makes the shift. So it's just really taking the time every day to develop a relationship with your internal self.
I love that. So it's like connecting that heart-mind connection of like, what's going on in your head, what's going on in your heart, and then being able to like kind of dialogue about it to make sure the intention's in the right place as well.
Right. Am I going by this random thoughts that are floating around in here, or am I intuitively moving from my authentic self?
Awesome. So do you do that for yourself? Like for me, I do like a meditation in the morning, and that kind of clears my head, and then I can kind of get like, usually I meditate before I create art. Do you do something like that just for yourself as an artist and art therapist? Do you do like I guess it was like be like a journal check-in or something? Is that a practice that you do as well?
I absolutely do it. I do it several times a day.
Oh, wow.
So I do it. I'm because of, we're living this work. So, I do it several times a day. I do it during sessions. If something's getting triggered within a session, I'm consciously using my breathing to consciously be clearing. I'm always opening my heart. And anytime I create, that's what I do. I'm aware of what I have up here. I'm clearing it. I'm opening my heart. I'm creating from that space. It's just building that felt intuitive sense with everything that I do, and always being aware and open. And if I'm noticing that I'm getting triggered, then taking the time to do what I need to do to get clear again.
Oh, I like that. I like that clearing. That feels good.
So important.
It is. It's like aligning, it's just getting into that space. So tell us, I know that you do the soul collage, and many people might not know what that is. So can you tell us a little bit about the soul collage and what that encompasses?
I would love to. So let's see. It was actually before my training with energy healing that I got trained to become a soul collage facilitator. And I went out to California and trained with Sina Frost, and she developed this process over 30-something years. And basically the process it aligns very well with the art therapy that we're doing, but it's where you are intuitively creating different parts of yourself on cards. I actually have my first card right here.
Oh, so wow.
There.
I see a little guy, he has like a flower on his head. That's funny.
He's so cute. So this is my first soul collage card, and I went to this workshop and I was like, I have no idea what the heck this process is, but whatever. You intuitively choose images and you put them, so you need scissors, a glue stick, and a little 5x8 mat board, and then they have these nice little sleeves you put on to have it look finished. But basically the goal is that you get out of your mind, you get into your heart, and you intuitively just create whatever feels right. And then there's a process where it's most powerful in groups, or at least with another person to help you process, because we, again, want to get out of our thinking mind and more into our intuitive place. So we learn how to speak from the image. So the image has a voice. And when we're done speaking from the image about what part it represents and the gifts that it has for you, then the person working with you reads back what came from you. And again, you listen with an open heart and you receive the wisdom. And often we go through a lot of tissues because people are crying, realizing, oh my gosh, that came from me. I didn't realize I had that kind of wisdom for myself. And so this process is also beautiful because not only do you express your strengths, so your light aspects, but you also express your shadow aspects. So it gives you an opportunity to really hold space for the light and the shadow, which is very important in healing work, to be able to, and I think that's the work that you and I are both doing, is really being honest about what we're feeling, what we're holding, and what we want to create for ourselves. So this, again, is a wonderful tool in just becoming aware of what you're holding, what patterns and beliefs, but also in creating what you would like to be expressing, and again, working with these. And if it's a process that you love, they can go into different suits, and there's different ways to do readings for yourself. So there's a lot of depth, or it can be just a simple process that you try for a little.
How many are in each? Do you do I would say the light cards versus the dark cards? Is there 12 of each, or what's a deck of the soul cards?
I loved going to this training because there are little old ladies that have been doing this for 30 years, and they come in with their little suitcases. They wheel in with a lifetime of their deck. It's a
wow.
And so what you might do, so for instance, obviously you can see I was feeling shameful at one point in my life, believing that I didn't believe to heal, that I wasn't worthy. And so I was able to create this card and work with my person on healing this part of myself. And so after a while, if this isn't part of what I'm working on, I may retire this from my deck. It may not be what I'm wanting to consciously work on. I don't have that many cards to fill suitcases yet, but it's really, some people, they make 3 or 4 and they're so happy and it's a part of them and that's what they work with for years. And some people create 1 a day. Some people, a lot of people like to just pull 1 of their cards every day and work with it as their meditative practice, or 1 a week. And there's also suits around, so there's a suit, this is the suit just around the different parts within yourself. There is another suit on the community, so people or guides or allies or challengers, they may be real or imagined. And then there's another suit on archetypes that guide our life. And there's another suit on actually visualizations into each chakra to identify which animal lives there, which again, as I'm looking at your paintings, I see that.
I identify with the animals most definitely.
So it's a really cool process. So
That is cool.
If anybody's interested, it's soulcollage.com, and there's tons of people doing it out there.
Oh, I love that. I haven't done that before, but I find it very interesting. And the one part that I think is really important here is the reflection part, because we can make art, but if you don't have that reflection part, you're really missing, you could just be missing that self-awareness, you know, of someone reflecting back what's going on, and then you could like dive a little deeper, because like your ego could stop you from like looking within, or maybe there is something dark there that you're not ready to address. But if someone like reflects it back to you, you're like, whoa, maybe I could go there. Or, you know, even like something positive, like you might have a hard time just accepting that something might be your strength, and having someone reflect that back to you, how powerful that is.
Absolutely. I feel like you said, doing this either with a guide or within a community is more powerful, because like you said, you're able to really have it mirrored back to you and really see it for yourself, versus, oh, this is cute and I'm going to tuck it away and never work with it. Or this is pretty, but you know, you don't really take the time to really dialogue with it. Again, it's taking these symbols and dialoguing with them and having them create meaning for yourself.
Wow, that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. So I have another question for you about supporting individuals with manifesting or creating a new reality. So I'm curious, I imagine that you might use a soul collage or different ways. So how do you support individuals in doing that?
Well, again, it is very individual as I'm working with people on what they're creating. But again, it's really developing clearing practices and grounding practices for themselves, and then what they're comfortable with. So again, it may be simply visualizing, but I really enjoy having them create some type of an anchor. So it may be soul collage, that's their tool. I do a lot of work with mandalas. I don't know if you've had any work with mandalas. Any people talk about that on here, but it's basically, okay, so it's creating that within a circle. And in many cultures, the circle is a sacred space to really create healing. And so I really like the circle, because so you could just take some paper, create a circle, maybe do some clearing practices first to prepare yourself. But then it may be as simple, again, as colors or symbols, or you may have a specific thing. So you could put words in there, you could put magazine images in there, but it's really taking the time, again, to do the work to get out of what you think you want and also what others want for you, but it's that felt sense. So you may not consciously even, so it's just having the intention is very important, but also letting it come in whatever form it needs to come, and then sitting with it and letting it give you guidance along the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, because when I think about like the crown chakra and the third eye chakra, like you get these ideas and you're connecting to the source, and then to manifest, you have to like bring it down. So when you're bringing it down, you got to feel it. So I'm like, imagine like heart, and then your solar plexus, you got to believe it. And then, you know, going down, you got to bring that joy to it, and which is that sacral, and then going down to manifesting, which is rooting. So I'm glad you said like anchoring, because it has to go through this process of bringing, you know, it out. And then once you create it, which is awesome, it's more powerful. I mean, I kind of think of it, you know, people make the storyboards or the vision boards or things like that. But, you know, creating a piece of art is just really powerful, because you're manifesting it that way. You're putting it up. I have, like, I see it across my studios, and I have like a manifestation board over there, you know, and a lot of times I create those, and it comes up, and I love it, how powerful it is. Like, yes.
Yes. And the work is believing it. So once you create it, you take the time again to clear this negative, like the junk that's floating around,
right?
Clear it, and then you align yourself with the vibration of experiencing it. And so as you're doing your visualization and your meditation, you're like, at least that's what I do for myself. I feel myself living that. And so then when the opportunity comes, you believe it, you live it. It's there.
Yay, I love that. Yay. I love the art part too. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so one more question. So do you have any kind of tool that you could give our audience today that has to relate with manifesting this new reality? Because we have a Facebook group. It's called the Creative Soul Online Retreat, where we're all going to go and share what we've learned, or any reflections, and if any new tools that they want to use as well in their life. So if you have any suggestions, that would be awesome.
Well, I feel like a nice tool to begin with again, maybe be getting some pastels, get some watercolors, something that you can't do too many details with. Get a simple piece of paper, maybe trace a plate, draw a circle, and then maybe start with a mandala, maybe around just how you're feeling. Maybe if there's some heaviness, maybe letting that come out in colors. And so using that as a clearing practice. And then again, I'm not sure what people have for their specific practices, but maybe even just taking a deep breath and again, imagining your energy going all the way down into the earth, Just imagine your hearts of flowers opening wide open, and then maybe just creating colors or a symbol within the metaphor, and don't let go of what it is. So just let it come out. And then what I like people to do is kind of put it outside of them, give it a title, and kind of sit with it and let the image, again, not in your head, but let your image talk to you from your heart of what guidance it's giving you. So develop a relationship within a circle.
Oh, I love that. So it's that conversation, that intuitive conversation with your art piece of what message it has for you.
Just taking the time to do it.
Yes.
And I guess doing it every day, if not several times a day.
Right, because that's when that conversation happens. Like the more that you practice it, the more it has to say, the more you learn from it.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And please post in the group for those of you that are doing it, because we will reflect back to you.
Oh, yay. I would love to see that.
Yeah, and that makes it more powerful, right? The more people you have reflecting, and that's how you can manifest as well, the more energy that you put there.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, I want to say thank you so much for being here, but I know you have a free gift for everybody. So I want to take a couple minutes so you can tell us what that is.
Yeah, so my website is consciousarttherapy.com, and I'm really opening up to being able to do more one-on-one work with people online. So if you want to email me on there, we can talk about ways we can have a free consultation, ways we can work together. And I also have a blog on there where I'm starting to post more about the things that I'm working on for myself and with others. So it's another opportunity, again, just if you like what I'm talking about today, just to be connected and learn more about what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Yeah, because that's how we get inspired, is you learn from each other, right? Just checking
Absolutely.
in and doing things. So
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you in the Facebook group as well.
Thank you so much, Leah.
Yay. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.